All right, so this is looking at the same information that you saw in the other video, but it's now shaping it so that we could use it in an essay. So why was there some progress during the Renaissance period, 1500, 1750 as we know? And this is going to help you to just really deepen your understanding of this topic by looking at it through the three reasons why there was progress in this time and other times. One is because of the people in power, one is because of individuals, and the third reason is because of science and technology. So let's have a look. Firstly, at power. Well, we know quite a bit about who was in power during this time from 1500 to 1750 because of Elizabeth. We know that this was the time of what's called the Reformation. And the Reformation is when, as we know, the Catholic Church lost their power in England, for example, and in return you have the monarch who becomes more powerful in this Protestant church that's set up. Now, this is important. So there is a change in power in this period, and it's a change in which the monarch becomes more powerful and the church becomes less powerful. And so the ideas around divine wrath became less important, and other ideas such as miasma became more important. So why did this make a change? Well, why did this improve things? Well, it slightly improved things because of in C, and C is in terms of the causes of disease, because organisations like the Royal Society were set up in 1660, and this Royal Society allowed doctors and scientists to share ideas, and so they became a little bit better at understanding at least how the body worked, human anatomy, even if they didn't fully understand the cause of disease at this time. In terms of P, for prevention, this change of power, so the monarchs had more power, meant that more action was taken when there were big health problems, such as the Great Plague, which we know about 1665. But unfortunately, the actions that they took, even though they were large scale, didn't really work. This poor little cat is there because thousands of cats and dogs were killed because they were believed to be causing the disease, to be causing the plague. It wasn't true, but it shows us that the government was beginning to take more action against prevention, or to prevent disease. And then finally, T is for treatment. There were beginning to be improvements in terms of treatment because the monarch was funding a small number of hospitals, such as this one, which is St. Bartholomew's, which was set up much earlier, but by 1660 had 300 patients, and these were beginning to receive treatment. Not ones that worked particularly well, but they were receiving treatments when they were ill, rather than just hospitals being set up for the elderly like they were before. Now, individuals did begin to make a slight difference. So let's have a look. In terms of C, understanding the causes of disease, well, they didn't really understand the causes of disease, but men such as Vesalius, they began to dissect human bodies and to understand a little bit better how human anatomy worked. They questioned Galen, and Galen was, as we know, a man who was from the Roman period. The church liked him. He had given a picture of what the human body was like, and this picture was quite inaccurate. Now, Vesalius was able to show that many of Galen's ideas were wrong, and was able to begin to build an improved picture of the human body, which was later going to be useful for understanding the cause of disease. Not so much that individuals did to do with P, which is prevention, but in terms of treatment, well, there was a better understanding of how to diagnose disease. Diagnose is to work out why someone is ill or what's causing someone to be ill. There was a man called Thomas Sydenham he was called the English Hippocrates because, a bit like Hippocrates thousands of years before, he spent a lot of time trying to work out the individual causes of people being ill rather than just jumping to ideas like the four humours. He would spend quite a lot of time watching the patient, observing the patient before coming up with a treatment. This was new, this was different from the way that people were treated in the medieval period. Then finally, in terms of science and technology, there was some progress because of science and technology in terms of understanding the causes of disease. There was progress because of the printing press. Printing press was invented around 1450, but during this time period, it was used quite frequently, which meant that medical books could be published, still expensive, but not as expensive as when they were written by hand. And it meant that they could be shared by physicians, and this improved understanding of the human anatomy. Then there was, thanks to science and technology, P for prevention. Well, it meant that, as we know from Elizabeth, it was possible for galleons to travel to the New World and bring back all sorts of new herbs that could be used as treatments. Now, this man is smoking tobacco from a pipe. Obviously, at this time, quite a number of the ways that people tried to prevent disease, such as by smoking more, were not a good idea. But at least it was beginning to experiment with trying out new herbs as a way of stopping getting ill. Then finally, treatments. Well, again, thanks to the galleons that were now able to cross the Atlantic, it was possible for quite a number of new medicines to be developed. And we heard about one in the last video. For example, ipecac was used to treat dysentery, and that really did work.